feels a little too like, yeah, finger guns.
Hey, thank you for joining the Escape With Me Book Club. Escape with me, Sam Reiner.
And me, James Reiner.
Into our most recent read. Come with us as we evade reality and go into detail about a new book. We'll be covering the book from beginning to end, so there will be spoilers. Today we are going to Fantasy Kingdom of the Final Empire. Make it real easy for us. Thank heavens. Published July 17th, 2006. I almost did a 20, just out of habit, but that is not the decade we are in. Mistborn is the first book of the Final Empire trilogy. Fun fact.
Yes.
Never guessed that's what it's called.
Yeah, I mean, most people I know just call it the Mistborn series, just like they call it the Game of Thrones series, even though it's technically a Song of Ice and Fire. But no one calls it, unless you're a super nerd, Song of Ice and Fire. You're like, oh, do you read Game of Thrones, aka the whole series?
Well, considering he's continuing the geographical location, but I'm assuming it's not always the Final Empire, it kind of makes sense that this is the Final Empire trilogy.
Trilogy, yeah, this one deals with spoilers, and because you read the book, she kills the Emperor at the end, so it kind of ends his empire.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. And the ending is not done, not to spoil anything about book or 2 or 3, but the ending of this empire isn't completed yet. It's going to continue on into the second and third book. But I've only read the trilogy. As far as I know, for the next books, they jump a couple centuries, and it has to do with the whole new society that's a descendant from the society. So yeah, the Final Empire fits for this trilogy.
This might be sacrilege, but it's like how Scott Westerfeld had the Uglies trilogy and then jumped ahead, and then they have a 4-book series about later stuff.
And you are comparing the Mistborn series to the Uglies series.
In this way...
It feels dirty. Why are you doing this?
In this way, and in only this way, Tally is a not like other girls that does not match with Vin, so I don't see any reason to bring it up. But they do the same thing, where they had the main series, and then there was a time break, and now here's this other series in the same place with some of the same characters and stuff.
And same mechanics and whatnot.
Yes, it's the same world, just a little later.
Just a little later.
The ash falls, the red sun rises, and life is horrible for just about everyone. But what would it take for the long-suffering Ska to finally rise up against their subjectors? Can one band of thieves take over the empire to free their people, or will their god continue to rule by their blood? Background on this? I don't have very much background with this. You have more of the background on this.
I guess.
Because I just know you picked it up and then you read the book and you were like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And then eventually you finally got me to read it.
Yeah, I borrowed the first book and my sister saw I was reading it and said, oh, that's a good book. And I was like, oh, okay. So I read the first book, loved it, decided to go out and get the second book and the third book. And I've read the trilogy and I plan on reading the other books. I now have this weird relationship with Brandon Sanderson where I'm scared to pick up another one of his books because I know I'm going to get so sucked into the book that I won't be able to focus on anything else. So I have some of his books sitting on my shelf staring at me, but I'm a little scared to pick them up because I know how obsessive I probably will get to finish them.
So yeah, you picked it up from friends.
Yeah, so I read it first. I thought you would like it because I thought that Vin, the main character, reminded me a lot of your D&D characters, that I felt like her character would vibe with your kind of taste of fantasy.
Yeah, let it be known, I created those characters first.
Yeah, I was about to say, I created it way before I even knew this character and his books existed. I am not copying him. I just happen to vibe with him.
We just have similar trope loves, and that's fine. But yeah, I will go around forever and be like, my writing reminds my husband of Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. The way your characters interact made me think of his books, yeah.
So just something about the author, because I feel like he's just one of those names. Brandon Sanderson.
He's pretty prolific.
He's prolific, but how much do you know about him?
I knew a little bit about him. Granted, after I read his book, I looked him up like I do with most authors of books I've just read.
Yeah, so let's talk about him a little bit. He was born in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Okay.
And turns out he was a very reluctant reader until a high school teacher gave him a copy of Dragon's Bane by Barbara Hambly. And then after that, he got really, really into reading and literature and fantasy. A lot of people know he was a BYU graduate, but did you know he originally went into BYU as a biochemistry major?
Oh, that I did not know.
Does it make sense with the book he wrote? out?
Yes. Also, it's starting to make me think a lot of BYU people. There was another BYU author, well, not BYU, but Utah author that is biology something, but he became a writer too. What is it about Utah and bio anything that they start forcing them into writing literature?
Because it turns out he served a 2-year religious mission in South Korea. And then when he came back, he's changed his major to English literature.
That makes sense.
So he went on to get his MA with a focus on creative writing. And weirdly enough, one of his roommates in college was Ken Jennings. That name might not mean anything to you, but you'll probably know this fact. He's the one who had a 74-game win streak on Jeopardy!
Oh, yeah, yeah, the one guy. He hosts it now, doesn't he?
Yeah, Ken Jennings. He is the current host.
Yeah, so that's funny. That's a weird connection.
Yeah, he was his roommate in college.
Huh, that's funny.
He lives in Utah now. He writes books that get lots of awards. He has a podcast about writing fiction and world building.
The one thing I see so many TikToks, videos, updates from him. He is really good at social media presence.
Oh, yes.
And selling himself, and with not just his books. He's not one of those writers that writes books and then cloisters himself off away from people. He is constantly communicating with his fans, communicating with his audience, constantly giving them updates.
To add on top of that, he has such a love for this type of art that he has that social media presence. He has the podcast talking about all the tips and tricks. But in addition, he adjuncts at BYU 1 class a year, and he always videotapes those lectures and posts them on his YouTube. He loves this stuff so much. He wants others to be able to enjoy it.
He's just so professional and so ambitious and so in love with it. You could just feel it. It emanates off him. It's just great to see him. Which there was this controversy lately where he was on a panel with George R.R. Martin, and they're kind of a contrast. Everyone got kind of upset because a fan kind of harshed on George R.R. Martin. But where George R.R. Martin's kind of doing his own thing, he seems more, lax. To be fair, he's older, but just in comparison, he is just so active. People make jokes all the time about how many books he churns out and how many engagements he does. The man is just a bottle of energy.
Yeah, he just loves it. He has a passion for it. He loves writing it. He loves reading it. He loves teaching other people how to do it. He's so personable and loving. It's so nice.
His impact. He created the hard and soft fantasy rules that people use.
He published Sanderson's Laws of Magic.
Yes.
And that popularized the concept of soft magic and hard magic.
Which I've heard people bash his laws and yada, 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 but I think they're ingenious. I love them. As someone who loves science fiction and fantasy, speculative fiction, I think he does a great job. To me, it makes sense. I've read fantasy books where it's soft magic, where the rules of the magic aren't what's important. The whimsicalness and magic is there to move the plot along kind of feel. And then I've read hard fantasy where the magic is very important. Mistborn is one of those. It's very important to have an understanding of the rules and limitations of how magic works in this world, and it makes the plot better for it. I think it's helpful to identify, is this going to be soft magic or hard magic? Because it plays into how the plot functions.
Yes. So he is very prolific.
Yes, very. The only 3 I've read is the Final Empire trilogy, and I really do need to read more of his books because I have enjoyed it so far, and others have raved how good the other books are.
So he's a pretty cool dude.
Yes.
He'd be a fun guy to meet at a con one day, have a conversation. But that's all that I have on background. I don't know if you have any additional fun facts you'd like to share.
Oh, I remember one little snippet he gave in a video where he talked about how he was in a creative writing class at BYU, and the professor said, you need to be writing this amount of word in order to pass this class, to do well in this class, you need to write such and such amount of words each week. And Brandon Sanderson's like, oh, I write that already.
In a day.
I do that already in a day. This is going to be easy. And it was. It shows when you're passionate about something, you're all in. And you could tell that from him. He's all in. His output is just absolutely insane. He writes his own stuff. Then he got asked to finish the Wheel of Time series. And he was not only doing that, but also kept writing his own stuff at the same time. He was helping finish another fantasy author's series since they passed away, while also continuing to write his own. That's mind-blowing, really.
But for this book, age level adult, and then we have a content warning, we have a bit of a paragraph here. Slavery, torture, rape mentioned, forced prostitution mentioned, blood, child abuse, physical, mental, and emotional, pedophilia implied, language PG-13, murder, graphic violence, death of a child, genocide, gore, kidnapping, and nudity.
Which sounds bad, but I think Brandon Sanderson, again, it is for adults, but I don't feel like he is, again, I'm not meaning to make the comparison, but I guess just because they were on that panel recently, he's not like George R.R. Martin level of adult material. I feel like all the things you list, he's good at presenting it, but not in such a graphic or gruesome way where it's trying to be shocking or trying to be a little edgy.
To me, it's always come across as the world is terrible, so I'm going to write terrible things.
Yeah, I feel like he's presenting this stuff for a purpose. He's not presenting it for entertainment value as much as showing the stakes of the plot. So you listing all the things, I'm like, yeah, that's true, but I don't really find Brandon Sanderson as a graphic fantasy writer, but I mean, it's all kind of present. He's just good at presenting it in a way that feels appropriate.
Yeah, I've read fantasy books that really shove down your throat. The world is terrible. Everything is terrible. This is terrible. That is terrible. Everything's terrible. And it almost to a point glorifies the horribleness of it.
Yes.
And this doesn't do that. It's just this is life. It's terrible. For the most part, beside the graphic violence, a lot of the other stuff, it's mentioned or it happens once to make a point, but it's never sitting in the moment, like voyeuristic enjoyment, like watching a car crash kind of thing. It's literally there for the plot and doesn't try to take up any more space than that.
Yeah, and I feel some people, again, the comparison, fantasy writers like George R.R. Martin, it's sort of life is terrible and that's just the way it is. And we just kind of have to try to get through it, right? So he's more pessimistic, where Brandon Sanderson, on a contrast in his ilk of writers, he's showing all these graphic and horrible things, but only to feed into the optimism that there is a chance for things to be better. There is hope. There's a lot of hope through his novel, despite all the evil. Like the evil's brought up to show a contrast to the hope, the optimism that he presents in his plot.
Yes. Yeah. And so, like you said, it's a contrast, is to show the terrible so you can really enjoy the good.
Exactly. Versus a more nihilistic fantasy, or not to say George R.R. Martin is nihilistic, but you read one of his novels, I mean...
Are you okay?
Yeah. Some people would call it more realistic, I guess. Just more pessimistic. The whole people are terrible and some people are worse than others. And sometimes people get tortured or killed or terrible things happen and there's no point to it. Where Brandon Sanderson, there's killing and torture and stuff like that, but it feels like there's a point to it. Like he's arriving to more optimistic horizons than life is just terrible.
Yeah, it feels like we're setting the bar really low in a way so we can see where we rise to.
Exactly. So summary, I think Brandon Sanderson, anything trigger warning that he presents is for a purpose. And I think that's the best kind of inclusion of that.
Yeah, but it is still in there if you don't have the spoons for it.
Yes, yeah. Well, when I first read this, you remember I turned to you and said, I wish you could read this book because I thought you would like the character Vin and some of the characters in it. But I also said, I don't think you should read this book because at the time you were pretty sensitive to that.
There were certain things I was very sensitive to at the time.
You were, and you've changed.
I've worked hard on that.
You have. You're not as sensitive, I think, because of a lot of other books. You've kind of built up to it where you're not as triggered by it because you've read other books to get you there. So it was a point where a few years ago I said, I don't think you should read this because it'd be too triggering. Now I think it wouldn't be as triggering and you were fine reading it this time.
Yeah. And so that's what I would say is if you find it really triggering, don't force yourself to this, because I would hate for someone to pick this up, get triggered, and then be like, I hate this book forever, versus finding it when they're in an okay place to read it and then actually getting to enjoy it.
I think there's other books you could probably start on if you're not ready for Mistborn.
So there are options.
Yes.
Judge a book by its cover.
Oh, your cover was different than mine.
It was. It's the purple cover. There's a dude with a scrunched face and eye tattoos and blank pupils, and then there's a girl-ish figure. I thought it was a girl from the cover.
It's implied it's Vin, yeah.
Yeah, jumping up in a dress, and I was like, cool, we're going to have a teenager is going to overthrow the government book. Not to bring up the uglies again, but...
I mean, technically, yeah. Just, he does it so much better, I think.
He does.
The other ones do. Like, you're reading Catching Fire right now, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, Katniss does it really well, too.
Yeah, I wouldn't compare those two, because I think they're good in their separate ways in their own categories.
Separate ways, yeah.
I'll call this better than uglies, but go watch those episodes to see my full thoughts on that.
So, yeah, I'd never seen that cover before. You got yours from the library, because I still haven't bought the first book. I have the second and third book, but I haven't bought the first one yet. And I had never seen that cover cover before, but it's a trend. I've just pulled up images of all of the covers, and having Vin on the cover doing some kind of jump or something seems to be the trend. But the cover I had was, I think, the first mass market cover, which it just shows a woman that heavily implies it's Vin. She's wearing her Mistborn cloak, which is all mystical. She has 2 daggers in her hands, and there's the city in the background with lightning striking. And there's a heavy emphasis on seeing her face versus your cover where you don't see her face.
No, and it just looked like I said, we're going to have a teenager taking on the government.
Yeah, I prefer my cover, the one I had. If I could find a thrift copy of that, that's the one I want.
There are a lot of covers now, yes.
I do not like the newer covers where it has a kind of more minimalistic.
I like it, where it's black and red and she's jumping around the cityscape.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Well,
I'm also not a fan because it's also really big. I like my mass market paper copy sizes where it fits conveniently in my hands. I don't like big books.
It's thick.
Unless it's a history book.
The mass-produced one is thick.
Yes.
But yeah, the government's terrible. That sums up so much of the book.
This world, it's a mixture. It's not just government, it's also religion, because the Lord Ruler isn't just the head of the government. He's also a god to these people. It's very Egyptian, you could say, because they view him as a god to them.
Yes, so it is definitely a theocracy where the head of the church, this god figure, also runs the country. And the police force is members of the quote-unquote ministry. So they're also the police force, and the one going around overseeing contracts is a lot of what they do, but they are the main political force.
Yeah. So the Lord Ruler's over everything, but he enforces aristocracy. You have a few nobles that are claimed to be descendants of the people that stood with the Lord Ruler.
Because he is eons old.
He's about a millennia old, yeah, at least 1,000 years. And it's implied he saved the world from this mysterious evil back in the day. I believe it's called the Deepness. And the people who stood by his side, it's claimed, are the forefathers of the aristocracy in this world. Everyone else became what's known as ska, or just a derogatory term for the peasantry.
Yeah, which in my brain makes me think of Skyrim, where it's like you have the Aedra and the Daedra, which literally means our ancestors and not our ancestors.
Yes.
The lords aren't really called something, but if they were, I would bet they would be like from the ancestors, and the Scar that not from the ancestors.
Basically, yeah. So yes, and the Lord Ruler rules this world, and he keeps this class system rigidly in place with violence and terror.
And a huge way they do it is through the magic system.
Yes. The nobility, the people that are on the side of Lord Ruler, it's claimed he gave them the power of allomancy, the ability to swallow specific metals, burn them inside your body, and get a power as a result. So whatever metal you swallow, you can burn it and do something magical.
It's kind of like color magic, but metals.
Yes.
If you burn a specific type of metal, then it can do a very specific type of thing.
Very unique. That's one of the things that really won me over very quickly with the book. I started the book kind of skeptically. I don't like when people rave about a book and I start it because I'm a little like, I'm not so sure. Like I did the same thing with Game of Thrones when I started it.
I mean, that's kind of how I felt too. When you were like, it's so good, it's so good.
Yeah, everyone keeps talking up this book and I'm not so sure. But once I really got into the allomancy, that's what won me over because I like unique. I like different. I like when I find something that is not something I've seen before. And allomancy is just so unique. And I loved learning about the rule system and how it worked.
Yeah, so there are, okay, I'm going to say this and then I'm immediately going to be like, well, actually, which sounds very science of me. I'm going to do the thing that they do in school where they're like, this is the thing. And then you get into a higher level and they're like, well, there are 8 metals that normal people can burn, but actually there's 12. And
you know what's funny? You've only read the first book. You have no idea how inaccurate all that you just said. There's more.
I know.
There's more. That's what's beautiful about Brandon Sanderson. It's like, okay, you got the rules, good. I've held some back. Here's some more.
Yeah, because you start out and he's like, oh, there's 8. Well, technically there's also gold and this other one. Oh, but then realizes, no, they're actually not the ones. There's actually 2 more. And maybe there's the, and yeah. So we start really simple, but it gets complicated pretty quickly.
Which I love. It makes it feel more real. Like you just said, you learn about this in school in science class, but then when you hit college, you're like, well, actually, that's just the beginning. And then they show you the bigger world.
Yeah.
It has the word is verisimilitude to it. It has this realness to it that makes it seem real.
This is why I'm like, does it make sense that he was a biochemistry major originally with all this metal stuff and the whole, well, because I remember I took chemistry in high school. I loved it. I was great at it. And I was like, I enjoyed it so much. I should take it in college. And then I started taking it in college and it's like, what is this? I literally know none of the things you were trying to tell me. So it definitely felt like a science class or a math class where it's like, yeah, this equals this. Well,
well, buckle in, because when you read the second and third, there's a lot of, well, what we told you is sort of the whole truth. But now that we're going to point out some other stuff, like he does that in the book. I mean, you start thinking there's only allomancy, but then you Farukami. I think that's how it's pronounced. Farukami.
Heaven help us.
And you find out there's another form of magic that deals with metals, not with swallowing, but with wearing them.
And it's a different race's feat that they can do that. But then you find out that the Lord God can do both of those things. And then can also do some weird things as well with her magic. And so it's like, oh no, we're discovering things for the first time.
Yes. To spoil a little bit, in book 2 and 3, you learn there's another Mancy out there. I'm not going to spoil too much, but there's more and more. You keep learning more and more. And I like that. He takes you by the hand and he does it so well where you don't feel lost, but it feels so real as you learn more and more with the characters about this system of magic.
Yeah, but yeah, that's how I feel about it. Even English kind of does that too, where it's like, this is the way you're supposed to do it. Well...
But yes, the magic system is awesome. You learn a lot about it. And because of the nobility, at first the nobility had the power, but over time the nobility began to breed with the Skaal. And it started this sort of half-breed where a bunch of people who were part of the Skaal had the ability to use allomancy as well. So there's some people who have to hide their powers, their ability to swallow metals and use magic, despite being part of the peasantry class.
Yeah, because what's supposed to happen is if you go to a brothel or whatever organization where there are Skaal women and a lord sleeps with a Skaal woman, she's supposed to be killed afterwards. So these type of people can't get.
Exactly. It's the attempt by the authorities to stop this. But from the existence of the several people you meet in the novel,
they're not that great at it.
The law isn't enforced that well, and you find plenty of people who have to hide their powers from the authorities.
So there's a type of person that can only do one metal, and they're called mistlings, which is adorable and very misleading. And then if you can do more than one, that means you can do all of them, and then you're a Mistborn. And the reason for that is this world is not like ours. It is completely destroyed ecologically, and mist comes out at night, and the sky is red, and ash rains down. And so mistlings and Mistborns, it's like, oh, you were born of the mist, so you have these magical powers. It's actually very cool. Background, as someone who loves history and mythology and stuff, you can really bite your teeth into this. It's really fun. But let's go over some of the characters, because I think that will do better than to be like, and they talked, and then they did something, and they talked some more, and then they did something, which is very interesting when the book does it, but for summation purposes, I don't know, it trivializes it a little bit. But we got the main dude. Like I said, we have this band of thieves that are trying to overthrow the government. And so you have our head leader here. You said it's Kelsier?
Kelsier. It's 3 syllables. Kelsier.
I like mine. Mine sounds like Excalibur. Kelsier.
According to Google, Sanderson has stated that it is okay to pronounce names however is most comfortable for the reader, as he does not expect everyone to follow a strict pronunciation guide.
Oh my gosh, I love him.
I'm sure the audiobook has some kind of how they pronounce it. I always read it as Kelsier, so that's how I'll probably pronounce it for this video.
I like Kelsier because it sounds fancy, but we'll see what happens. He was a thief once upon a time. He was married to a thief. They were going to do something. They were going to break into the castle, which has a name, but I'm just going to call it the castle. Breaks into the castle. There's a secret room that the Lord Ruler doesn't want anyone to go in, so they're going to break into there. But then he get caught, and oh no, they are sent to the worst prison of worst prisons where you're supposed to die. But he did it.
Yeah, I forget what what that prison's called.
I have it in my notes. We'll get there in a minute, I'm sure.
I'm sure, but yeah, so he survived, and now he wants vengeance on the Lord Ruler for taking his wife away.
Because she did die.
And he wants to get a group together because he's figured out a way, he believes, to not only kill the Lord Ruler, but kind of change everything in the Empire, rescue all the peasantry that's been under his thumb, his rule, for so many centuries.
He's talking revolution.
He's talking revolution, though he's presenting it as a heist. His real intentions are revolution.
So he's a Mistborn, very charismatic.
Yeah, which he didn't realize it when he got caught, but he finds out later that he is Mistborn.
Yeah, you have to have a breaking of some sort where you essentially have so much trauma at one point in time that your body awakens to this power. You aren't necessarily just born with it, or at least the Ska aren't. And so he broke when his wife died.
Well, you learn later that even the nobility have like this initiation ritual where they try to force their children to have the triggering moment to find their metal, if they have the ability to burn metal, allomancy. And it's actually pretty traumatizing.
It has to be.
Because it has to be. So you'll find about a nobility that will force their children to be beaten in front of them in order to see if they have a allomancy power. And it's pretty messed up. This world is pretty messed up. It's all built on violence and suppression and backstabbing and all not good things.
Yes.
And Kelsier wants to burn it to the ground. He's our rebel leader.
Yes. And he's an optimist. He's the one where every time the plan goes wrong, he's like, well, we'll just pivot and do this other thing and we'll figure it out. And there are at least 2 times, maybe even 3, where the plan goes to pot and the others are like, well, I guess we'll have to give up. And he's like, nah, get me the whiteboard.
Yes, he's oodles of optimism inside of him.
Which you were surprised when it happened. I was like, it's about time. With how much optimism he had, I was like, he's not making it through this book.
It wasn't the fact that he died. It was just how nonchalantly Brandon Sanderson wrote it. And I thought it was perfect. I thought it was the exact way to write it. And it was so well done. It shocked me. I was like, oh, that was it? Oh my gosh. Anyways, we'll get to that. We've already spoiled. He dies, but he's gathering his group.
So he's gathering his group. So he collects multiple people, starting with Dachshund. He writes down the plans. He handles the bureaucracy. He plans meetings and gets everybody there. He's the one you go to for logistics and supplies and all that stuff. Everybody needs a bureaucracy person. Every good plan.
Oh, yeah. Any good rebellion or revolution needs someone doing the paperwork.
So that's kind of him. He's in a lot of scenes. He's a fun character, but there's not too much else to say about him.
No, not too much. I mean, a lot of the characters, a lot of them are his old crew. Dachshund's one of his close friends, and he starts to gather a few others.
Yeah. So Breeze is a mistling, and he burns the type of metal that allows you to
calm people.
I believe he's able to repress emotions.
Yes, he burns brass, is my little summary here saying.
So all of them come in pairs, and so for this one, there's one where you can excite certain emotions.
I think that's copper. Copper excites and brass soothes.
Yeah, so he can be like, oh, I want you to be scared, so I'm going to soothe these feelings so that you're scared. Or we want you to be excited, I'll soothe these feelings so that you can get there.
Yes.
Yeah. Then you have Hammond, who goes by Ham the entire book, who is known as a thug, where he's able to burn things that give his body supernatural abilities in strength and such.
Yeah, pewter enhances your physical abilities. So you're stronger, more nimble. It basically improves your strength and dexterity if we were playing D&D.
Yes, it does both.
And your constitution. You could take hits a lot easier, and things that would hurt a normal person, like a stab would hurt this normal person where they could die. If you're burning pewter, you're supposed to have such a strong constitution that you can withstand dying.
Yes, and things like you're able to take falls from bigger heights, you're able to move faster, all of that. And then the last one, clubs.
Yeah, he's an old man.
He's a master carpenter.
Yeah, he's a carpenter, but he's served as a soldier before. And he has a nephew whose name is very hard to pronounce, so they just call him Spook.
Yeah. So what clubs does is he's a smoker, which means that he's able to hide the fact that you're using allomancy.
Yes. Oh, that one burns copper. Sorry, I'm looking at my summary here. I knew I would need it. It's so intricate. You need something to kind of follow.
Yeah, I've given up.
If you burn burn copper, you can hide when you're using allomancy. So the opposite of that one.
You're able to sense things better.
Yeah, a seeker who can burn.
I think that's 10.
No, 10 is the opposite of pewter. Spook burns 10. It gives you enhanced perceptions. You can see farther. You can hear smaller noises. You can feel pain easier, which is kind of the downside of that one.
Yeah, you're in your body more.
All your 5 senses are super enhanced.
Well, even more than all your senses, because we do technically have more than 5. But
I know 5, but the 5 we think of, right? You can see farther, hear better, you can taste better, all kinds of things are enhanced. That's 10. And I forget, Marsh, Kelsier's estranged brother, he's a reluctant member of the group, and he is a seeker. It's the opposite of clubs, where clubs can burn copper to hide people using allomancy. Marsh can burn, I forget the opposite, brass or something.
a different metal.
A different metal. I really should pull up the allomancy chart, but Marsh can seek out people. He can feel when someone's burning a metal and know where they're at, which is very important for the Lord Ruler's minions because they like to seek out people who can burn metals that aren't supposed to and kill them. So Clubs is very important because he's the one that helps the group hide, basically.
Yes. There's also this dude named Yindin, who is currently a leader of the Ska Rebellion, which is not doing well.
Real quick, I got a list out. Bronze is what reveals for a seeker. Copper is what hides it. Brass soothes emotions, while zinc is the opposite that makes the emotions
Heightened.
Yeah, agitate them. Tin and pewter are their opposites. Pewter's for physical abilities, tin's for senses. And then we're going to eventually get to where you can use iron and steel. Iron pulls metals towards you and steel pushes them away, which if you're a Mistborn, you can use the two to do cool things like flying.
Yes, and fighting people very easily.
Yes. Anyway, sorry, continue.
So this is the crew. They got Yindin, who is honestly just their connection with the Ska Rebellion that is already currently happening.
Yeah, but they never have a chance because the Lord Ruler's so powerful, they're just kind of barely existing on the fringes.
One, because it's squashed down so much, and also because, and they point out a lot of times, the Ska have been conditioned to not rebel.
Yes.
One, because of generations and generations, but two, you come to find out they're actively using suppressing magic on them at all times.
Yes, yeah, they're using a bunch of soothers, I think, right?
Yes, they call them soothing stations.
Soothing stations where they use mistlings to soothe the population to not want to rebel, which has a lot of political connotations to it.
Yes.
But very ingenious thing to integrate into your story. So anyways.
I wasn't expecting it, but once it happened, everyone was like, oh my goodness, how could this be? And I was like, that just makes perfect sense, honestly. Why wouldn't they be doing that? Of course they're doing that.
It's commentary. I mean, you think, what are our real life soothing stations? Well, it's entertainment. It's our echo chamber bubbles that we go to.
It's our media. It's our, yeah.
Exactly. Social media. Like you can use all kinds of ways to point out the metaphor of what Brandon Sanderson's, which he's not trying to make some big political statement, but he's like, hey, I'm just using clear logic here. Like if you're a government, especially a tyrannical one, you want to put stuff in place to suppress people's rebellious tendency because people don't like to be abused.
Yeah. If you want to stay in control, you have to keep control.
Exactly. So it's just smart commentary.
It just made sense. They were so freaked out by it, but like, I'm not surprised. Granted, I live in the world we live in. So, you grow up on like propaganda, bad, and then you grow up a little more and you're like, oh.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Everyone's using it. It's not just the history book.
Well, I kind of tell my students sometimes, and I use the word manipulation. It's like all communication is manipulation, if I were to put it bluntly, right? Whenever you're trying to communicate with someone, you're trying to sway them to some kind of thought or idea. You're trying to convince them, whether it's like, this is my opinion or this is what I think of the world. Whatever you're saying to them is trying to change how they view or think of something, right? It's always going to be a manipulation, whether it's for good or bad, right? That's just the basic idea of communication. You are trying to manipulate someone else's thought patterns, whether for good or bad. So, I mean, it just makes sense to me.
Yeah, that is a similar rant that I have, where it's like even entertainment, we use certain tips and tricks in communication to make it more entertaining. Like listening to a Netflix comedy hour is going to be really different than watching a documentary. And why is that? Because they did have different forms of communication to make it, one, more humorous, unless you're listening to the documentary of Snoop Dogg doing nature documentaries, then that's very funny. But for the most part, like documentaries have a certain communication style. Comedy has a certain communication style. Period dramas have different communication styles. All of them are entertaining, but they use different forms of communication to get across the emotions, the message, the feelings, whatever, to the audience.
All right, so he has most of his crew, but he finds one last person that he would like to add. He stumbles upon a street urchin, and this is where I felt like, without even reading him, you were vibing with Brandon Sanderson. Most of your D&D characters are street urchins or orphans or something like that. But a street urchin named Vin. She's a teenage girl who doesn't realize she has powers. She just knows that every once in a while, if she digs really deep, she has the ability to cause people not to be upset with her anymore. She doesn't realize it, but she's like Breeze. She has the ability to burn brass that is in the water she drinks from the city piping system.
In the water and gotten from using a metal fork.
And she didn't realize she's slowly accumulating this metal in her system, and that's why she's every once in a while able to make people not be upset with her. She doesn't know why she could do it.
But only for very short periods of time, and then she has to recharge.
Yeah, because she doesn't realize what she's doing. She doesn't understand allomancy. She just knows she has this ability to do this every once in a while. And she basically, through the gang she's hanging out with, Kelsier notices her and realizes she might have more power than just that. He realizes she might be a Mistborn.
Which is always good to have another one of those.
Oh, yeah. So he basically approaches her gang.
So she's set up to be the go-between between their crew and the crew that Vin was in. And it was very much, we're going to work together on something, but we need her as a go-between. And then Vin's old team gets killed completely. And they're like, well, anyway, Vin, you're coming with us.
Yeah, but that was the facade. Really, Kelsier, the moment he meets her and gets time alone with her, with him and his group and her, away from her group, he gets her to swallow one of the vials. So being a Mistborn, he has little vials of alcohol on him.
That have different metals in them.
Exactly. It has the 8 metals in it: pewter, tin, brass, copper, all those. And Mistborns can chug this little vial to get a boost of all their elemental powers. He gets her to swallow one of these and asks her to burn some metals, and she's able to do it. And he's like, yep, you're a Mistborn.
Which I have so many questions
about
the science of it, because our body needs a certain amount of metals to function. So would it be possible for Mistborn, like for example, iron? Our body needs iron to function. We get it from our diet and whatnot. So would it be possible for them to accidentally burn too much iron and it causes them to be anemic? That's where my brain went.
Yeah, I mean, if you brass tacks, I'm sure Brandon Sanderson would be able to kind of split hairs with you. I just know it has to be something you have to swallow relatively recently.
Yeah, he's like, you have to add it to your system, which makes me think you can't burn something that's already in your body, but it's thoughts I had.
Yeah, I think it has to be that kind of raw metal form. It can't be what's already part of your body.
Yeah, you have to be able to burn it, so it can't already be in use, is my thought.
Yeah.
Questions.
Yeah. Like I said, there's things we haven't even touched on that get approached in the second and third book. And I'm sure if I were to continue on and read the next generation of this series,
maybe.
I know there's even more. Like, I already know there's some new elements that are introduced that are pretty cool. But that's what's cool about Brandon Sanderson. He's constantly introduced. As far as I know, maybe he does address that in some later books.
Because if you do it for too long, your body needs to rest and recharge because you've been doing it for too long, which makes me wonder, did you accidentally burn some of your body store and that's why you're feeling so terrible? Is because you took more than your body should be giving you? But I don't know.
I guess we'll learn. But yeah, Kelsier finds out that Vin is Mistborn as well. She's very valuable now because of this. So he kind of takes her under his wing. He decides to include her in a lot more of the plans, the biggest of which is pretending she is of nobility.
Yes. So they have a lord that they have replaced, body snatched a little bit.
Yeah, you don't learn that till the end. At the beginning, he just tells the gang, yeah, this nobleman is on our side. And everyone's like, are you sure? Noblemen are never on our side.
That was the thing I caught. Okay, so in the prologue, Kelsier does some stuff and he mentions, things are changing in the north. Lord Renoir is realizing maybe he should keep his ska happy and they'll work better. And I was like, that's weird. And then later on, he's like, yeah, we body switched Renoir. So of course he feels like that.
Of course, he's dead. It's explained explained better a lot later. But yeah, basically he replaced a nobleman with a copy. And Lord Renault?
Renaux. So that makes me think it's Renoir.
Oh, I thought Renault.
Oh, I guess that's true. When you say something's faux, it's Faux.
It's pronounced the oo sound as in soup. Renew.
Renew.
Oh, we were both wrong. It's renew if you go by the French way of, because yeah, it has a French spelling at the end.
Well, I like Cosmere and Renoir. Well, I guess we're renewing the faith. But they're pretending that Lord Renew had some country bumpkin cousin niece.
Who's still royalty, yeah.
Who's still royalty, but country bumpkin, supposedly, which is the background, because she's about to go into high society of the city. And so she doesn't know anything because she grew up on the streets. And so they're having her be this kind of country bumpkin persona. So when she does things that are uncouth, oh, you know, she's from the country. She's not like us. But yeah, so she's going to pretend to be a nobility and go to their parties and overhear their gossip and stuff, because they have word on the street for the ska. They have Marsh go into the ministry. And so they have that angle. So they have the ska and the ministry, but they need the Lord side. So she's going to go in and try to get all the gossip on the Lord side.
Yes. Well, at the same time, Kelsier is teaching her how to develop her Mistborn powers. So she'll train during the day how to be a proper noble woman amongst these people to spy on them. But during the night, Kelsier will take her and teach her how to use her new allomancy powers.
Yeah. So we'll mainly focus on Vin and Kelsier from this part because the main characters, to the point, how many pages in? Like 300 and something of like a 530 page book?
Yes, you like to point this out.
It had a different POV and I was shocked. And you were like, why are you shocked? It's been 300 pages of these two. It was shocking.
Okay. You also were shocked that they waited so long to introduce a love interest.
They did. They waited a very long time to include a love interest. That was on around page 200, I believe.
But yes, go ahead if you want to introduce the love interest.
The love interest. So he is a lord, and she doesn't realize who it is at first, but he is the venture heir who is the biggest of all the houses. They're the most houseiest house. But his name, and you said it, Eland? Eland
is what it's putting online. I Googled how to pronounce Mistborn character names, and it says Eland.
Yes, Eland. That sounds better, because otherwise it sounds like Ellen with a D, which kind of looks like, but that's beside the point.
It looks like Ellen with a D, but it's pronounced Eland, according to the internet.
Yeah, so he is the type that's like, I hate my father.
I can't remember because I got all three books in my head. You don't meet his father yet, right?
You only meet him in Eland's perspective. Vin never meets him.
Yes, his stories about him and his implications about him, how he's not a good father.
Yeah, he tries to kill his son in the book, but we'll get there.
He does. He also is the biggest and most important house because he's the best at being a terrible person and backstabbing and manipulating people and doing horrible things to Skull and all that stuff.
So, not great. But he is a philosophy student. I'm not going to call him a philosopher. He hasn't had an original thought since we got here. So he is a big fan of philosophy.
He is a book nerd. That is how he's introduced, that he's at a party and he'd rather be sitting at a table reading than interacting with people.
Yes. She gives him a hard time about it, which kind of deserves. Is that what I'm saying? But yeah, they have a good connection. They have good chemistry. She falls for him hard and fast. He also falls for her hard and fast. But he says suspicious things like, do you think the Ska are like us? Because up to this point, the propaganda is that the Ska are subservient creatures that are not like us.
Yeah, it's your basic, anytime there's a slave society, you need some kind of
propaganda to make you feel better about it.
Basically, a cultural background that will emphasize that, oh, they deserve to be here. The structure of the order makes sense. It's better this way. That's how they're designed. That's how they're structured. What we do is the proper way. Everything has to reinforce that the Skull are subhuman and the nobility deserve to be in the position they're at.
Yeah.
Basic slave culture stuff.
So he's got these questions. So she's like, oh, maybe he'll be on our side, our team. And Kelsier is just like, he's a noble. He's young. he's saying these things because he is young. Once he gets control of the house, he'll be like every lord ever. He's not going to change.
Which builds slowly through the book, but you get the sense and you learn these characters aren't perfect.
No.
They all have their flaws. Kelsier's flaw is he's too extreme. There's this big battle that Vin is like, we can't just go around killing whoever, and other people agree with her. And Kelsier's like, no, all noblemen deserve to die. He's just so obsessed with vengeance and taking down the structure that he's willing to kill everyone, even other Ska, in the process of taking down the nobility. So he's a bit on the extreme side.
He's an extremist, yes.
He gets the sense that he starts learning that Vin and Elend are starting to develop a relationship. He's basically like, Vin, we need to kill him. He is the enemy.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. Don't fall for this guy. Treat him like he's the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, but she's like, I don't know. She and someone else point out we're gonna need the lords at the end of the day.
Yes, I can't remember who it was, but yes, that is, they point out we need them at one point.
Because we're not just trying to overthrow the government and cause chaos. We need to put another government in action. And to do that, we are going to need money and resources on our side. And the only people that have that are the lords.
Exactly. So I like that nuance. It'd be easy to just say, these people are bad and these people are good.
But that's never how it goes.
That's never how it goes. Yeah, Sanderson shows that, where how the Ska are ignorant and sometimes do terrible things because they just don't know better. And the nobility are the worst, but there's a point where you're like, but they have the money and the background, and we kind of need, they're not the best, but we need them in order to make something happen.
And it kind of shows how no cause is purely good or purely bad.
Yes.
They're going to have to make some really sketchy decisions to make this happen, but it's like, oh, but for the greater good. And at the same time, we can look at it and be like, oh, well, maybe we're not the good ones. Ham is one of them. He is a philosopher. He has thoughts.
Yes, he likes deep questions. Yes.
And so he always points out, is like, is it a good thing we're doing or is it a bad thing we're doing? You know, and it's one of those kanjis where it's like, well, murdering people is bad, but to save the Ska and from the horribleness that is happening, the Lord Ruler has to die. Soldiers have to die. This fight needs to be fought and people will die. So even though it's bad that people die, it has to happen.
Yes. So I appreciate the nuance. I'm glad Sanderson is good at that, presenting the nuance. Shows a real top-notch writer.
So a bunch of things happen. Each of them are doing their part. Vin is learning her powers and breaking into the society, while Kelsier is trying to start a war with the lords.
Yes.
Breaking into their house, murdering people, stealing things, because the only ones that supposedly have Mistborns in their control are the lords. So if a Mistborn shows up at your house, does a bunch of damage, and then leaves, your question is, who sent them?
Yes. Which nobleman is out to get me and how can I get them back? So he's fermenting that suspicion amongst them where he's making them unstable.
Which is very important. What Vin does is very important. Some highlights we can get to. Yinden wants them to raise 20,000. They're very close to doing so. Vin and Kelsier are going to go see them and see their training and stuff, see how they're doing. Get close to there and they find out this idiot, Yinden, got too big for his excited britches and decided, let's march the army early. Let's go fight this town. It's fine. Goes, takes over the town. They're having a good time. It's great, but oh no, backup army. Oh, that's right. The Lord Ruler has a lot of armies that are very close. And so Yinden ends up getting almost 20,000 men killed because he got excited and decided to enact the plan early.
Yeah, so that is one of those moments you talked about where something goes wrong. Like they were supposed to have this Ska army and Yinden basically gets it destroyed. And now they don't have that Ska army they wanted.
So all of them sit together and they're like, well, it was a good run, guys. We did real well for what we did. Guess we'll have to stop. And then Kelsier walks in. He's like, the army did what it was supposed to do. And they're like, what are you talking about? Get murdered? They were supposed to get murdered? And he's like, no. The point of the army was to get the garrison to leave the city. And guess what happened? The garrison left the city. So we just need to keep going. And they're like, this man is insane. Anyway, we're going to keep following him. That conversation happens twice.
Yes.
Which I appreciate. I didn't see that coming. I do like authors who are able to pull the and you'll never guess what happens next. Especially if you're going to be over a 500-page book. You got to keep me interested, you know?
Yes.
He does a really good job of keeping you on the hook. I think there's like farts to it too, so always close to another fun, exciting moment. So that happens. They think Marsh gets killed.
We've skipped over Sazed.
Oh, Saze. Oh my goodness, how did I forget the best character? It's because I'm thinking about the thieves, and he's not technically a thief.
He's not.
But he's the best character by far.
He is the best character, yes. Kelsier gets what's called a Terraceman keeper.
Which has that type of magic we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, the book doesn't introduce that yet. All she knows is he is a trained servant. They're a race of people that the Lord Ruler has forced into selective breeding, because you find out later he's scared of them, and we'll learn about that later. But basically, they're bred to be servants, high noble servants.
Yeah, genetic altering through selective breeding, like you would with animals.
Yeah, if you're not a breeding male, then you're a eunuch, which Sazed is. And Kelsier recruits Sazed because he's part of the secret Terraceman rebellion that want to overthrow the Lord Ruler as well. Not violently, but secretly. They're accumulating knowledge and information for the Skull to one day use once the final empire is overthrown. But basically, he's recruited by Kelsier to train Vin to be a noblewoman.
Yes, and also because he is one of the keepers, which essentially means they use some of their magic so that they are able to keep information from dying.
Exactly.
No Google here. You got to know it or you don't.
There's a lot of information that's been lost over, especially because of the Lord Ruler's suppression, but also through other events that we learn later.
But he has languages memorized. He has religions memorized. He has a bunch of information.
Yes. So what's cool is at one point in the novel, I can't remember when it happens, but I'll just tell it now because it strengthens the relation. Because at first Vin's like, who is this persnickety guy who keeps criticizing every little thing I do? And their relationship at first is strained because Sazed kind of has this very formal approach to Vin, teaching her. But slowly they kind of get to know each other. And then there's one point where Vin's in trouble and she's about to get captured by the Lord Ruler's henchmen.
Inquisitor.
Still Inquisitors, yeah. So Still Inquisitors are these mysterious, ugly-looking monsters. They're basically men with all these metal rods pushed through their body.
In the beginning, you only know about two, which is through the eyes.
Through the eyes. You find out they have metal rods throughout their body, and they're Mistborns in the sense that they can use every metal in allomancy, and they're very strong. If you meet one, it's like the Matrix with the agents. Prepare to die because they're very impossible to kill.
Yes.
And Vin is about to get captured by these, I believe, Still Inquisitors, right?
Yes. Because they break into the castle because they're going to do the thing Kelsier meant to do the first time, and they're going to get into this room. But by the time they're there, 3 Inquisitors are already waiting for them.
And it goes south very quickly, and Vin thinks, I'm going to die now. And as she blacks out, that's when she's rescued. And when she wakes up, she's safe. And she comes to find out a little later, Sazed explains to her that he saved her. And that's when he tells her about his ability to use Farukami. I think I'm saying that right.
Yeah, she has to end up tricking him a little bit to be like, we're reading this book that we're pretty sure it is the Lord Ruler's diary, which she found when they did this heist and that didn't work out. But she did find that. And so she's like, oh, how do I know what I'm looking for if I don't know what anything's about? And he's like, fair play, fair play. And so he explains to her what it is.
So unlike allomancy, where you have to swallow the metal and then you burn the metal inside you in order to use your power, Farukami is where you have the metal attached to you. You wear it like jewelry or metal bands on your arm. And a Farukami user can use certain metals to download energy, information, stuff like that. So the reason that Sazed is able to remember all this stuff about languages and religions and stuff like that is he has the ability to download it onto metal bands, his memories of things like that.
Yeah.
And the way he was able to save Vin is he's also able to physically download his strength or his sight or his weight or all these different things into these metal bands. So in order to save Vin, he was able to pull out all the strength he had saved up up in the metal bands in order to be super strong and fast to save her. The only downside is in order to save all this energy or information, you have to spend a period of not having it. So if you want to save up strength in a band, you have to go many hours weak where you have no strength. You're really tired and weak and unable to do anything. But the whole time you're doing that to yourself, you're saving up that strength you would have used into the metal band to be pulled out later.
Yeah.
And this is very important for the plot. At the time, it just feels like a cool aside, but you find out it's key to the climax of the whole novel.
It is. It's very important that you have that information, which I was just trying to go through my notes and figure out when I figured it out, because I kind of called it.
Yeah, see, I think it was a little later. You usually realize things sooner than I do in movies and books, but I think it was way too close to the end when I finally made the connection.
Well, they got to, there's an execution happening in the streets. They go and watch, and they said that, the Lord Ruler's carriage arrived. And I was like, they say the Lord Ruler is soothing everyone, but how do we know? Could others be assisting? Is there a vibration so you know? Because at that point we hadn't seen him. So I was like, maybe he's multiple people, And so that was my first thought. And so the first execution was when I was really sussed about him, because I was like, there's something wrong here. Yeah, he's so powerful, but why is he so powerful? Then I had the idea that as they were working on the translation, I was like, I bet the hero failed and the darkness took him over like an avatar. And I was like, that's why he's so powerful.
I remember you mentioning that one. You're like, is it this? And I was like, I don't know, because we usually do that with each other when we're reading books the other one is already read.
Yeah. And where is it? So before I get to there, when Kelsier was at the end making his last stand and he's fighting an inquisitor, on my mind was immediately like, why doesn't anyone ever take out the spikes? You got spiky eyes, like grab the things and pull them out. I'm sure that would help.
Which they mention in a few moments in the novel. They're bad A when they flaunt around with metal on them because they are so confident in a world where you can pull metal towards you or away from you to just wear it like that.
Yeah. And so I was like, I think we need to pull out spikes, which come to find out is true. Not those spikes, but there's a specific spike you need to take out and they die. Okay, here it is. I figured it out when she opened the room and there was an old man in there. And I was like, wait, is this the real one? And there's another guy just pretending. And then she sees him later and he's young. And I'm like, it's a talisman.
Oh.
He hides in the room to store his powers and then he uses them to look young.
I don't feel so bad now. I think that's about the time I figured it out. So that's good. We were about the same time.
Specifically, I bet this is Rashik.
Yes.
And it is.
It is. Yeah. So we're getting ahead a little bit.
Yes. To jump back, all of these things are happening. So we'll talk about Ellen. I don't know. We're jumping ahead, but at the same time, what will we jump back to?
I was about to say, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes on. Like Vin has this personal vendetta against this other woman, a noble woman, that at first you think she's just a soother because she keeps soothing people around her to like her.
But she's actually a Mistborn and she's actually an assassin.
Yeah, she tries to kill Elend. She's hired by his father to kill him.
And also she's mad because they were engaged, but now they're not engaged.
So Vin has to take her out.
Yeah, so stuff like that happens.
It's important, but this is definitely a Bildungsroman novel where it's a coming of age for Vin. She's growing as a person. So events like this is helping her realize her true potential as a Mistborn or as a member of Kelsier's group.
It builds building block on another because there's like 3 balls that she goes to. But it's like when you're summarizing Pride and Prejudice. You don't mention every single ball they go to. There's a bunch of them. You just talk about the plot generally.
Yeah, it's important in the moment because it builds off of each other. But trying to summarize it, it's like she goes to a bunch of balls. She encounters a lot of people with her Mistborn powers. It just all builds up to this point.
First, they're nice to her, and then they're not nice to her. And there's a gossip, but sometimes she's a gossip, but later you find out she's a gossip for hire.
Yeah. So I think all this builds up to the main point, pivotal moment in the novel when they see all these people getting sent to be executed as punishment.
So they're about to pull out of the city. Lord Renew and his people are pulling out of the city because of the state things are in. And they get captured. So it's him and Spook that get captured, and then they're going to die.
They're going to get executed. And Sanderson sets it up great because it's similar to an earlier execution they had to watch where a bunch of random people get captured and killed as punishment for all the things that are happening in the city.
Yeah, it's women and children just randomly picked, and they behead them and then put their blood in this empty fountain.
It's all ritual, which is very on par for a totalitarian in government. You pick random innocents to punish in order to try to quell anyone else who's rebelling.
It's very French Revolution.
French Revolution? I wouldn't call it that.
Yeah, the beheadings and the blood running in the streets.
No, see, you're thinking of the beheadings. What it really is like North Korea level stuff where you punish family members or random people on the street in order to keep people in line.
That's true. At least they tried to pretend to justify why they were killing people.
Yeah, they had kangaroo courts in the French Revolution, but at least they weren't like, okay, we're going to punish this random woman off the French streets just to send a message to anyone who doesn't agree with us. They weren't doing that.
Yeah, that's fair. But I kind of agreed. There was one point where Eland is like, we can't keep pushing. There's going to reach a point, and I'm like, yeah, you're just building up and building up and building up, and there's only going to be so much more the Scott can take before they go, I mean, I'm going to die anyway. I might as well die fighting for something, you know?
Yeah. But what I love about this, and again, you're all like, oh, I knew it was coming, but I like how Kelsier, when you think it's going against his plan, it's actually part of his plan, even up to the point where it looks like he's lost his cool and he's going to cause this huge scene, rescuing Lord Renew and Spook from the cages and fighting a Still Inquisitor in front of all the Skaw. And you think it's him doing it. I mean, in a way, a part of it is him doing it.
And a big thing is he's supposed to use this mysterious metal.
Yeah, but basically it's a change of plans. It's not exactly how he planned it, but ends up being part of his plan. He keeps using the mistakes to funnel into his true intention, which is to get the Skaw to rebel. So he rescues Lord Renew and Spook from the cages. He fights a Still Inquisitor in front of everyone, ends up beheading the Still Inquisitor.
To prove that it can be killed.
Can be killed. He's on this huge high in front of everyone. And then out steps, finally, we get revealed the Lord Ruler. And he is handsome. I'm just joking.
He is. That's the point.
He is. He's described as young and beautiful, and he's wearing this white and black suit. And it's shocking for Vin and all the people because it wasn't what Vin was expecting. This millennia-old person stepping out and being young and youthful and beautiful.
Oh no, he's a vampire.
Oh no, he's hot.
Oh no, he's hot.
But what happens is Kelsier's like, haha, I'm finally facing you. And it's this big moment. And Kelsier throws spears at him, I think.
Oh yeah, and they impale him.
They impale the Lord Ruler, and he's just like, whatever. And he pulls out the spear and kills Kelsier, just nonchalantly just kills one of the main characters, just kills him like he's a fly, like it was barely any effort.
Just backhands him.
In front of everyone, and Vin is devastated.
Because he was supposed to use this mysterious metal to defeat him.
Yeah, and he doesn't. And it feels like everything is lost. And Vin and the rest of the group have to escape at this point, and everything's in chaos. And you think it's all lost at this point. And this is when Kelsier's backup plan kicks in.
Yeah, because he's smart. He isn't going up there to be a savior. He's going up there to be a martyr. And that's more powerful.
Because before he died, he told Lord Renew, implement the plan. And basically, Lord Renew is this mysterious, you get to learn later in the books.
He's a Kandra, which is a form of a mistwalker where they eat something and absorb their bones, and then they can pretend to be someone who is dead.
Exactly. And Kelsier was telling this specific Kendra to eat him afterwards and become him because he wanted to elevate himself into this resurrected martyr who's going to go around and inspire the Skaw to rebel. That he's basically creating a religion around himself, saying Kelsier stood up to the Lord Ruler, died, but the rebellion in him didn't die, and you can do it too, basically. So he starts this religion in order to get the Skaw to finally rise up and fight against everyone.
Yeah, because throughout the book, he asks Sazed, what causes people to rebel? What is a big enough cause that they rise above themselves, even when the thing is gone? What is unkillable that they'll still fight and no matter what happens? And it is this, how do I instill hope into the people? Because that ends up being one of his final speeches is, you can't kill me, I'm hope. This is more than one person. So even if I die, a single person, the cause will continue on. And so, yeah, he creates this religion around himself, around him dying, and how him dying was actually the catalyst to creating this undying loyalty and hope and respect and all of that, which really finally causes the rebellion to begin in earnest.
Yes, and you look back now, and like we were talking about when everyone thought all was lost when the Skaw army failed and was destroyed, and Kelsier was like, oh, no, it's fine, we'll pivot. That was why. He was like, we don't need that army, we need all the Skaw to be our army. And he had the bigger picture in mind when he was doing this.
Yeah, because like he said, they did their part. They got the garrison to leave the city, and that's what we needed them to do. We're going to keep going. There's no chance that this is going to happen again. We have to do this now. We have to keep going.
Exactly. So now that I'm just going to keep calling him Lord Renew for now, but the Kendra is going around pretending to be Kelsier, Vin realizes she needs to do her part, which is figure out this other medal, this 11th medal, and going and trying to kill the Lord Ruler, which she goes and fails at spectacularly at first.
Yes, but she does manage to open the door, which is when she finds the old man, and she's really confused because they think this is where he's keeping this powerful medal called atium, which allows you to see a little bit into the future.
Yes, which is very powerful in a fight because you could see if someone's about to kill you, like stab you in the face or do something that's going to throw you off balance. So if you're burning this medal, you basically look into the future and can avoid any pitfalls that someone throws at you.
Which is great if you're fighting a normal person or a misting. But if you're fighting a Mistborn, you have to have this medal because if they burn it, they're going to see what you can do. But if you burn it at the same time, there's so many possibilities at this point. You can't, basically.
Neutralizes it between you because you're both looking into the future. But the problem is it then becomes whose medal will burn out first. So you don't want to burn it. So you got to kind of play it. You got the ultimate win, but you can't play it at the same time or it neutralizes it. So you either got to have more medal than the other person or you got to play your neutralization at the same time.
It's a strong gamble game.
It's a strong gamble game, yes. So they think the secret chamber inside of the palace of the Lord Ruler holds this medal. She breaks into it and it's not this medal. It's some random old man.
Who's like, ew, somebody came in here. Take care of that.
Yeah, which not the Still Inquisitors, the, what are they called again? The normal guys, the bureaucratic guys?
The Ministry.
Yeah, the Ministry. So the Still Inquisitors are one arm of the Lord Ruler. They're more the enforcers and the sadistic torturers and violent makers.
And apparently for the past 300 years, they have been wanting to control the Ministry.
Yes, where instead it's all these gray-robed guys who are more bureaucratic and they run the more bureaucratic side. I mean, they're terrible too, and they'll do some vindictive, violent stuff.
But they're still human.
They're still human. They don't have the special metal rods in their body that make them terrifying boogeymen.
Yeah, and so they don't know how they're not human, but they know that Steel Inquisitors just aren't human anymore. Some processes happened where they are not human.
Yes, exactly. So the Ministry people take her away. That's when you learn about a new metal, aluminum. If you burn that, it causes all your allomancy to burn away instantly. It dampens it.
Yeah, she's forced to swallow a metal and it completely deteriorates all stores of metal that she had.
Exactly, which I think they hint at in this book, but you learn a lot more later. Again, it's a pair and the opposite does the opposite, which is...
Here's all the metal stores.
No, it enhances whatever you're burning.
Oh.
So if you burn, I forget what the metal is, but if you burn it at the same time you're burning another metal, it makes it stronger. So if you burn it with pewter, you're now even stronger than you usually would. It's like an enhancer.
All of the pairs aren't exact opposites in that way, but they make sense as opposites.
It makes sense eventually. Do I have a bigger metal? Here it is. Aluminum and duraluminum. It's a real metal. I'm just bad at pronouncing it. But yeah, aluminum, I believe, wipes all, and then duraluminum enhances. So they start to use that a lot in the second book, but just be aware of that. There's two new metals that the Inquisitors and the Ministry people kept secret because they didn't want other people to know about it.
And so include that. And then you have Rin, who figured out that gold and atium aren't opposites. And so there's actually another one. And so there's a lot of metals going around.
Because she asked Kelsier at one point in the book, why don't we talk about gold? And he's like, well, it's kind of pointless and useless. No one really cares about it.
You burn it and you can see parts of yourself, like your past selves.
Yes.
And then the 11th metal is you can see other people's past selves. And so she uses it and she sees several forms of the ruler and she's like, how is that supposed to help here? This is a mysterious 11th metal. She thought it would just be like, oh, dissolve this and you'll have the power to take him out. And she's like, cool. That's not at all what this is. But yes, you're right. I keep calling it the 12th metal. It's the 11th metal because technically there's like 8 metals, but then there's actually 10. And then there's this 11th one, but that one has a pair and gold has a different pair. And then there's the pairs. And so there's a lot of metals, guys.
Yes.
I would like someone to pull a periodic periodic table of the elements a little bit. We'll ignore all the uranium ones, but we got a lot of metals we can test out here.
Yes. So anyways, so she gets captured. They make her burn her medals away. They pull her in front of the Lord Ruler, who now looks young and youthful again. Basically, she becomes a pawn in the power struggle between the ministers who wear gray robes and the Still Inquisitors. And the Still Inquisitors reveal that the head of the ministry people, this annoying, terrible-looking older man, Vin is actually his daughter.
Which I'm surprised we've known that, because she was like, oh yeah, my brother pointed him out to me one day because he was like, you should know who your father is, because her mom was a prostitute. And so I was like, I'm a little surprised you even know who your father is, but yes. And then it gets revealed in the most dramatic way that, oh no, you fathered this child who's super powerful and could bring about the end of you're all just terrible, immoral people, and the Inquisitors should be in charge. And the Lord is like, we've been having this conversation for 300 years, but sure, why not?
Sure, why not? So the Still Inquisitors get to slaughter all of the gray-robed minister people and take over everything at that point. And they were able to do that because of Vin.
Oh
no! No. So I think it was the Still Inquisitors that kept her, right? It wasn't the ministry.
Well, I mean, it's the ministry, but yeah, the Steel Inquisitors were the actual ones moving her around and stuff.
Why they don't kill her on the spot. They needed her alive in order to prove this point so they can one-up the other guys.
Yeah, because he's like, oh, kill her immediately. But one of the Steel Inquisitors is like, actually, can I keep her for a little bit to prove a point? And he's like, okay, keep her then. And you come to find out, yeah, it's because he knows that that's his child. The head of the ministry had fathered a child on the wrong side of the cloth. I don't know how to say it. But yeah, so everything's terrible. And oh no, what's going to happen? Vin's going to be destroyed. The Steel Inquisitors are going to take over. The Lord Ruler is going to punish everybody. Oh no! They're keeping Vin to get information about the others in the team. So they take her back to the prison and they're like, we're going to keep you, we're going to torture you. But not only are we going to torture you, we're going to torture your friend here, because Sazid had tried to come in and save her. They're like, we're going to come back and kill your friend here.
Yeah, he's pretending though. He's pretending he's all beat up. He's actually not.
I mean, he is beat up, but...
He is, but he's not as bad as he thought. He helps her escape, doesn't he?
Yeah, because she did a thing where she's like, I wonder if I swallow one of your rings, because they use metal to keep information and store things. And so she's like, I wonder if I swallow one of your things, if I can burn that metal and then I'll have the knowledge that you have. And so they try it out. It doesn't work. Darn. But from that, he was like, I've got an idea. And so he swallows one of his rings where he's been storing strength. And so they take out all of his metal and whatever, but he has one in his gut and he's able to burn that metal and use it. And so he pulls his strength. So he's able to rescue both of them, even though it doesn't last very long. But he's able to rescue both of them.
Because they knew his powers. So of course they were going to put him in there with his metal. So he's able to break them out, but she goes back. She goes back to the Lord Ruler to face off against him.
Yes. Starting to face a Steel Inquisitor, but she gets caught.
One Steel Inquisitor captures her.
His name is Carr. He's one of the only ones that gets named.
Yes. They're in front of the Lord Ruler.
So when Sazid frees her, Vin realizes the only way the rebellion is going to prevail is if the Lord Ruler dies.
Yes.
So she goes back to the throne room, finds them, and is going to kill them. But as you said, Carr grabs her, and the 11th metal doesn't automatically kill him, and so she's confused. And so Carr has her.
In front of the Lord Ruler, that's when another Still Inquisitor comes in, and they're like, hey, let's take care of this. And the Still Inquisitor walks up to Carr, acting like he's an ally, but then he comes behind and rips a metal rod out of Carr, which is the one metal rod to kill him. And you come to find out this Still Inquisitor is Marsh. It is the brother of Kelsier who was trying to infiltrate the ministry, and they thought he got killed. They come to a rendezvous point to meet Marsh, and they end up in a room where it's all bloody and there's body parts everywhere. And Kelsier and Vin are like, crap, my brother's been killed. But you learn in that moment, Marsh actually was recruited by the Inquisitors, that they actually killed people as a ritual to initiate him into the Inquisitors, to put the rods through his body.
Yes.
And that he had learned how to kill an Inquisitor by pulling out the right rod. And he had killed all the other Inquisitors and came in and killed the last Inquisitor to let Vin face off one-on-one with the Lord Ruler.
Yes, and completely take out the Steel Inquisitors.
Yes, so they're pretty much gone now.
Yeah, you come to find out they have a bunch of steel rods, not just the two in their body. And the reason you couldn't use allomancy to pull out the metal rods is if it's it's in your body, you can't pull it.
Yes.
So it was in their body, and so you're not able to pull. I still think you could physically pull, like with your hands, but that's beside the point. So you can't pull it out of their body and whatever. And so he went in, there's 2 in your face, and then there's a bunch in your new body, and then there's 1 on your back that's holding it all together. And if you pull that one out, you kill them. They're dead.
Yes, which you're going to learn, not spoiler, but heads up, a lot more about these Inquisitors and the rods in their body later in the books.
Yeah, because it kind of ends with, they're like, oh my goodness, you're alive. And he's like, yeah, the scene you saw was actually my whatever. There are these steel rods. This is how I was able to get around it. And Vin's like, whoa, how'd you do that? And he's like, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, you learn more about Marsh later. He's kind of screwed up now for the rest of his life.
And so I saw that, and all I thought was, oh, we'll handle that next book.
Yeah. So anyways, Vin finally faces off against the Lord Ruler, and it doesn't go too well for her at first.
No.
He is very strong. He's beating the crap out of her all over the place. She can't keep up. His powers are ungodly because he was the first to ever receive allomancy, and it's in its purest form. So he's just super strong with it.
Supposedly.
Honestly is, but there's weak points, which she finally figures out. While she's getting the stuffing beat out of her, she realizes that being Rashek, she realized that he's using basically allomancy and feruchemy
to make his stuff more powerful.
Exactly. If he burns pewter while also being super weak, then he can store energy a lot longer and farther. He can store life energy. He basically can extend his life by combining the ability to store energy while also burning metal. So he can use the extra strength from burning pewter to extend his life and extend his senses and extend his youth and all this stuff.
So it is a part, he was the first one to get it, but also he is enhancing it in ways other people cannot enhance it.
Cannot enhance it, yes. He's the only one that can use both allomancy and feruchemy. I think that's how it's pronounced.
But having figured that out, she's like, oh, I understand now. Because up to this point, everyone's like, the Lord Ruler wears metal because he knows no Mistborn could ever take him out. And Vin realizes, no, he wears metals because he's storing his power in his bracelets. And so instead of attacking him, she takes off all his metal. She rips off his bracelets.
Which she can't do at first. It's not until the mist itself assists her.
Yes.
It's a mysterious moment where she doesn't have the strength to rip these bands off of him, and he's about to kill her. And the mist itself enters her and gives her the power to rip the metal bracelets off of him. So this is kind of a mysterious moment that's going to be addressed later in the future.
That's what I thought. I was like, that's going to come up.
It is. So the mist assists her, and she's not sure why. I think at the end of the book, she's even like, can I do it again? And she can't do it again, and she's not sure why.
She does go a little bit, oh, maybe that's why we're called Mistborns.
Yeah, which you're going to find a little bit more and more. There's more to the mist than just being creepy.
And so she's able to do that, rips him off. He loses his age. He loses his powers.
He becomes a feebled old man then that can't do anything.
I'm trying to think what it reminds me of, but Tangled is one of the ones that I think of where...
Oh, yeah, like Lady Gothel.
Yeah, when her hair gets cut and so she loses the magic and so she becomes like Ash.
Yeah, so he's aging really quick. And doesn't Sazed come at this point?
Yes.
Yes, so he's there too, and she's about to kill him. And do you remember what the Lord Ruler said?
He pulls a, you guys have no idea what I've done for you people. You have no idea what you caused by this.
I love you're putting it in a whiny voice.
So he's like dramatic death.
It's not how I read it. The way I read it is he's warning them. He's like, you don't realize what I was protecting you from. There's something worse than me.
I don't view him as purely altruistic to be like, I'm warning you.
Oh, no. Don't get me wrong. He's not altruistic, but he gives them a warning. That's why I was confused. When you finish the book, you're like, oh, I didn't see how it could continue. And I guess that's why you didn't see his words the same I did. I saw his words as a warning saying, you think I'm bad. I'm the one that's keeping the real bad away from you.
Well, see, I didn't know when he was referring, you guys have no idea what I've done for you. I wasn't necessarily viewing that as a present future tense. I was thinking past tense. Like, you don't even know what I went through to save your people and blah, 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 blah.
Because that's not what he says. He says something different because the implication is there's something worse than me and I'm the only one that's preventing that worst thing from getting to you.
Well, I did not write it down, unfortunately.
You did not. No wonder, because I was so confused when you're like, oh, I just see the book and it's like the Lord Ruler heavily implies there's something worse on the horizon.
Okay, in my defense, I could see how it goes on, but I was also saying saying I could see how someone could read this book and be like, complete story. Because we have read books where, especially duologies, you read the first book and it ends in a place where it's like, and the evil guy takes over and the heroes escape the city to be able to fight again another day. And so you're like, oh yeah, immediately. Yeah, we have to do the second part.
And as I explained to you, if you were to use a comparison, it's like this original Star Wars trilogy. You can watch A New Hope and it feels like a complete story. In A New Hope, the rebellion continues. The Empire is not all gone, but you feel a sense of completion. The rebels have done something victorious. A lot was accomplished. Some great evil. The Death Star was destroyed. And you get that New Hope feeling with this book. And it's funny because the second book has sort of The Empire Strikes Back about it, where it ends with a lot of loose ends about it that you're like, what the crap? And it doesn't feel like a safe contained story, but this one does. I totally agree with that.
It doesn't have that strong cliffhanger of, I have to read the next book.
Fair. And that's true. But that part, when I read it, really stuck out to me. Because to me, at that point, I'm like, oh, you did it. You killed the great evil. What is there after that? After killing the guy that literally turned himself into a god, and him to warn, hey, you don't realize what I do for you. I protect you for something greater, some greater evil out there. If you kill me, you're dooming everyone.
Well, I mean, he was already dying at that point.
He was, but he basically says, destroying me dooms you all, is what he's warning. I don't know about you, but me, I was like, what's going to happen? What is he warning about?
That's for next book.
That is for next book. So yes, Vin is victorious. The Ska rebel, Lord Ruler is killed. Now the city's in a state of transition where they're going to try to figure out what to do next.
Freaking Eland is the charge of the government. And
Yeah, for now. That's a big plot of the second book.
Okay, good. Because I know he's the heir to the biggest house, but I don't necessarily think that makes him the person that should be in charge of forming the government. Well, Marsh is in charge of the ministry, so that's good at least.
Yeah.
For now.
For now, you'll see when you start the book, Marsh is an enigma for a long time, and you get to know why he's an enigma.
We'll just leave that there.
And let's just say Marsh doesn't want to talk about it. There's a lot of crap going on with Marsh right now.
Yeah, but the Kendra that turned into Kelsier, who is pretending to be Renew, now thinks that Vin is his new master, and she hates it. She's like, that is disgusting. The creature that you are is an abhorrent thing, a plague to humanity. Gross.
Yeah, she's upset because she can't stop thinking how, in order to be Kelsier, he had to eat Kelsier, and that's disgusting to her.
I guess that is a form of cannibalism if you think about it.
A little. It's disturbing. Kelsier was like a brother/father figure to her, so for her to have to dwell on that this person who she interacted with for many months is actually something that ate him just to look like him.
Yes.
It's unsettling.
They don't have bones of their own. They have to borrow.
They don't. You learn more about Kendra, of course, in book 2 and 3. So, but how does the book end, though? I love this one because I said it's exactly like what one of your characters would do.
So, before we get there are a number of unanswered questions that we do have. For example, how was the Lord Ruler keeping the deepness, that's what it is, at bay? Because it's hinted at that he's still currently doing it, or keeping something at bay. So how was he doing that? What was he doing? Then you also have the question, what happened at the Ascension? Because he's not the hero. He wasn't supposed to do the thing. So how did he do the thing? And how did that, whatever. But then we also have the question of the Lord Ruler was in charge of the mine that generated ATM. And so he has a massive stash somewhere, logically. The mine makes a lot, the lords get a little, so the rest should be with him, right? But it's not there. They don't find it in the treasury. They don't find it in the strange room. They don't find it in the castle. So we have a question of where the heck is the ATM?
Yes, and that is a big important plot point moving forward. Where is this stuff?
Kelsier went out of his way to destroy the mines that create the ATM. Well, the crystals that form the ATM. But the point is, there's no more ATM. It's not happening.
Yes, there's no more mine because he's been collecting this stuff for centuries. He has to have a stockpile somewhere. Where is it? This is the nuclear weapons of this world. This is the most powerful thing, period. If you have this and someone who can burn it, it's super powerful. Where is it?
Yeah, it's basically whoever ends up with it is going to rule the world.
Exactly.
But the ending. Do you want me to do it? To do my summation?
Let me do mine because it's shorter and you might have more nuance to it. But this is literally why I think of your characters. Vin is creeping on Eland and she's like, I can't be with him. It wouldn't work out. We can't be together. And it's better if he rules the city and does his thing. thing.
I do my loner thing.
My loner thing and be in the shadows. And we can't be together because it's just not good for us. And then at the very end, she's like, screw it. And then she's with them anyways.
Yeah. She's like, oh no, I can't be with him. And then at the last second, but I wanna. Goes.
I just love that ending. It's hilarious.
That is the book.
Real quick, I Googled the Lord Ruler's final words was, you have doomed the final empire to a greater evil. That's the key line.
And so I was thinking maybe he thought, you people can't rule this city. You have no idea. You're about to rain chaos upon you because you think just overthrowing the government is what you have to do. No, you have to form a government, and the person that's in charge is always going to be the bad guy. That's what I thought.
Yeah, I could see that, but no, I 100% read it for what it was, which was he's warning about some greater evil on the horizon that he was quote unquote protecting people from, per se, in his own demented, twisted way.
So that's what I thought it was, where it's like, you think this is so easy, you do it. You're going to suck at it. So that's what I thought. But yeah, general thoughts, I liked it. I was worried I wouldn't like it because everybody likes it, and you know what happens when everybody likes it.
You don't want to like it because you don't want to be basic.
Well, I usually end up not liking it, so I'm a bit of a contrarian.
That makes me happy.
I did.
Was hoping you would, because like we pointed out, I feel like it really is your kind of thing.
I enjoyed it. Yes, it was good for the schedule. I ended up having to read it really quickly, but hopefully next time I'll be able to like sit down and enjoy it at the pace it deserves. But yeah, I liked it. You liked it. We liked it. It's a good day.
Yeah.
One question for the author, and I'm sure he's been asked this, but just in case he hasn't, if he could only burn one metal, if he had to be a mistling, because everybody wants to be a Mistborn, but if he had to be a mistling, what would it be?
That's a good question. I do wonder if someone's asked that. I will turn the question on you and me, though. What would you burn?
10. I'm nosy.
Is that why?
I already sit and stand in checkout lines and sit in restaurants and overhear people's conversations. Not so much because I mean to, but because my sense of hearing is super bat-like. And so I'll just be sitting there and I'll hear a conversation 3 tables over. But I mean, I wouldn't mind hearing more stories. No, I'm kidding. But I do think being able to see better in the dark, being able to hear things, seeing things farther away. I am like a negative 4.25 in my contact lenses. Being able to see would be great.
I was about to say, you already have good hearing, so I guess you like that. So you want it in the other areas too.
Improve that. Actually have a sense of smell for once.
Yeah, you don't have a sense of smell.
That would be so cool to just enhance those. I think those would be super fun because I wouldn't want to be able to pull or push to get the fly thing because you need to do both or you're going to do it poorly. And so that would be my other thought, that being able to sense things would be pretty cool. What would you burn?
I don't know. That's a tough one for me. Definitely probably more physical side like pewter or iron or steel.
I would burn pewter so I can stay up later without sleep and read all the books.
Nah, I mean, I feel like that's so basic though, going to maybe steel. You think you need both, but I could see cool things you could do it, like the pushers push coins. Coin shot, that's what they call them. They could do cool things like shoot metal at people, like spikes and stuff. That would be kind of cool. Let's all agree though, the lamest one to have would be like aluminum, where it's like, great, I can get rid of all of my metals.
Oh yeah.
That I can't burn because all I burn is aluminum.
There is low-key, you have to burn them all before you go to bed, but just burn them and have fun. Don't just be like, I don't think you could only burn aluminum because you can't burn any of the other metals, so I don't think you would be able to do that.
Exactly. Well, that's what you learn in the later books. Some people are probably mislings without realizing it.
Oh no.
Yeah, they have something like aluminum or one of the more obscure metals. I mean, aluminum is the funny one because the whole purpose is to get rid of all metals and you have no other metals, so you basically aren't a misling. But I think if you only burned something like
gold.
Gold. Yeah, who cares?
You would never know because they're never in contact with gold in a way to eat it.
Exactly. If you're one of these metals they don't even know about, you could be a misling and have no idea because when are you going to burn that metal?
Yeah, and so that's the thing with Ren is she only is able to soothe things because she gets it from her water and she gets it from her eating utensils. But there's never a time when you're like,
I'm going to eat gold.
Yeah.
So you could see why people think they're only 8, because those are the 8 you probably couldn't hide as well. Versus if someone could burn aluminum, you can hide that because they don't know they can burn aluminum. They don't know.
Or gold. To me, gold is the worst because I'm like, I already know
past selves.
My past selves. Let me be nosy and know your past selves.
My question for the author would be, oh gosh, I don't know.
You never know.
I never know. This question you have, you love it. I'm like, it ties into my anxiety I have about meeting famous people. I don't want to do it. It puts too much pressure on me.
You're like, if I ever met Brandon Sanderson, I would have no words, let alone any questions.
I would just go, hi.
I would be shocked if you managed to get a hi out.
It's true. I would just ignore him. I'd be like, not going to say a thing in case I say something stupid. It's that scene from Community where Troy just stares at him, at LeVar Burton, and he's like, I heard you're a big fan. He just stares, and then it cuts to a scene of him in a room going, I told him I never wanted to meet him. He's shouting in the other room, mad at himself, but in person, he just stares at him with wide eyes. That's me. I'd probably just ask him a question about the allomancy. The thing is, I feel like he talks so much about his world and his writing process that I could probably Google and get answers to any question I could think. My question would be like, what inspired the allomancy system? I'm sure someone's already asked him that.
Rating, I would give it hope out of 10. Like we said in the very beginning, his writing comes across as very hopeful. Reading it, you're like, you have hope for the world and your own world, and you're like, good people do exist. But yeah, just hope out of 10. That's how I felt reading it. Hope that it's a good book. Hope that it will have a happy ending. Hope that by reading this, I will be a better person. I don't know. Isn't that always the hope when you read a book? So yeah, hope out of 10.
Oh, it's nice. I would give it a Mistborn out of 10. I feel it hits all the important points. It's well-rounded and does everything.
Read again. Yeah, we need to buy it, but we want to buy yours so it goes with the series. Because if you buy it on Amazon right now, it's the new cover that you don't like and it wouldn't go with your old book. So we're going to have to thrift it.
I know, see something.
And so we're going to have to wait for the right copy to come into our hands.
Well, what annoys me is my second and third book don't match each other either. They're from different mass media paperback editions.
Oh, then why don't we just buy the whole series in one?
Oh, that'd be great. I'll donate the other two. If you find a box of the first three with the original cover, that would probably be expensive, though.
So maybe that's what we'll do. But would you read it again?
You know what? Yeah, I think I would read this one again.
Shocking.
Well, the problem is I would only read this one again if I read every single other Brandon Sanderson book out there. So this is still kind of a no because the man has written way too many books for me to read all of them and to read this one again.
20 years after his death, when you finally made it through the backlog.
Then I'll read it again. So it's sort of a no. It's a yes, that's not realistic.
Yes, asterisk.
Asterisk, once I've read all his other books, which I don't know if that's possible.
But have you read this book? What nettle would you burn if you were a mistling? If you could choose, obviously. Do you have any book recommendations? Tell us all about it in the comments below. If you liked the video, hit like, and if you're enjoying yourself, hit subscribe for more. Thank you for exploring Mistborn with us. Join us next time when we'll be covering By the Book by Jasmine Guillory. I'm Sam Reiner.
And I'm James Reiner.
And we hope to see you and a friend here next time. Escape With Me Book Club is a Lunar Skulk production. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok to keep up to date with us. Lunar_SKULK.